Hello everyone, you're watching Chaos Knowledge, where the headlines meet depth and noise gives way to nuance. I'm Feroz, and today we will dive into the simmering tensions following the Pahalgam attack, an inflection point in ever-fragile India-Pakistan relationship. As the two nuclear-armed neighbors edge dangerously close to the conflict, the question is no longer just if, but how this new normal plays out. Joining us is a leading academic and military strategy expert, Brigadier Feroz Hasan Khan. He is a research professor at the U.S. Naval Postgraduate School in California. He is also the author of two excellent books, Eating Grass, The Making of Pakistani Bomb, and Subcontinent Adrift, Strategic Futures of South Asia. Let's get right into it. Hi, sir. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Assalamu alaikum.
So let's begin by addressing the elephant in the room, the new normal. This crisis feels different, more volatile, more calculated, and more dangerous. So I want to ask you, how do you view the new normal in Pakistan-India military engagement, where two nuclear-armed neighbors seem to be edging dangerously close to open conflict?
Afina, if you look into the five previous crises this century, even if you go back to Kargil, each crisis has been different and a new normal than the previous one. And if you go back to the last 3-4 crises, the intensity of the crisis has been more and more each time, And so the question is actually fundamentally, where is the problem lying? So this is a new normal, of course, as you correctly point out. And there's going to be another new normal next time, which would be resembling this, but it would be more intense. So if you're looking into a graph, there's a trajectory is that it is getting more. From my perspective, this was probably one of the worst crises, which came very, very close to bring to an uncontrollable escalation. Very close. And it seems that what has, in many ways, it may be new normal, but it is not surprising. Because if you have read many of the writing, not just me, but many other people have written about it, that this is India's frustration of carrying out a limited war under the nuclear umbrella in different ways and forms, starting for the last 25 years. So they moved from limited war, Sundarji doctrine, then they moved into cold start, and then cold start to strategic strike stratagem, and now you have come to a different sort of a thing. The new normal is because this time it is not just in Balakot that they crossed the LOC and hit a territory that was Pakistan, but they actually crossed the international border and they struck those places which was not previously there. And there was bloodshed on ground, which was not in the previous crisis. So in that sense, the retaliation and the number of rounds that were exchanged was very new. The very new element of this crisis also how deep it went in terms of distances, in terms of India penetrating eventually right into the base of Chaklala in Nur Khan base. And Pakistan actually hitting all the bases. So that shows the level of accuracy in the system that is there. So this is a classic modern warfare that can happen between two nuclear-armed countries that came very dangerously close to an uncontrollable escalation. So no good news at all, if you look into that aspect. Yeah.
As you already mentioned, limited war. That brings me to a broader concern of escalation threshold. If, as you talked about the Kargil, so if we comparatively analyze crises between India and Pakistan, like Uri, Balakot, and now Pahalgam over the years, I think the nuclear deterrence was once a break, but now it's becoming a license for riskier gambits in the region. So how do you see the recent crisis over the years in shifting escalation threshold are we witnessing a dangerous normalization of limited military engagements under the nuclear overhang? And also, what could be the objectives of these limited wars or crises where frontline and information domain both were equally ablaze this time?
Yeah, so in a sense, that this is the answer to the question essentially is that, these crises have shown that there are limits to nuclear deterrence and it can be punctured in a certain way, both sides. So both sides were not deterred primarily because of nuclear deterrence. It is kind of a curious way of it is because both sides have nuclear deterrence and both sides are challenging the deterrence. Mm-hmm. So this is what they have done, As for the objective, we can talk about that because it's hard to say what do they really want to achieve. But you are absolutely right. It was not. It was the whole of the government approach: diplomatic isolation, economic strangulation in shape and form, and then the military component was both using information as well as using certain technologies which are now. This is shown where the modernization of weapon systems can show. This is what happens when you have accurate systems. This is a classic warfare of technology playing with space, satellites, sensors, radar advancement, everything that we've been talking about, the role of emerging technologies combined together. So what has been demonstrated this has been studied for a long time. Right now, at the time of the interview, we still do not have full information as to what has actually happened and what has not happened. So actually, it is premature for me to say that. But this is where it is indicating that this is the kind of warfare that can happen. But it is so dangerous, as you point out, because it can really cause inadvertence. And next time, the threshold will not be 4 days that has happened, 4-5 days. It's probably going to happen even shorter because both sides have now tested each other's threshold, they've tested each other's capability, and they'll be doing countervailing strategies to determine where did one side fail or the other succeeded. So this study is not going to end in this way unless and until some other solution is done, As far as the objective is concerned, India and Pakistani are cross purposes of each other. India's narrative and Pakistan's narrative are completely opposed to each other. They are cross purposes of each other. From Pakistan perspective, India is trying to establish hegemony by demonstrating its military muscle and power to indicate what it calls destruction of terror infrastructure. And India believes that Pakistan is using this tool to have 1,000 cuts on India. Put India down by 1,000 cuts. India believes that it is using, China is using Pakistan as a tool to browbeat India, to keep India into to curtail the rise of India. So, from Pakistan perspective, a terror incident is an excuse to do what India has been wanting to do for a while. So it bully Pakistan into submission because Pakistan is the only country in South Asia that can stand up to India's, domination or India's hegemonic ambitions. But, the two shall never meet, But what has happened is that what has surprised the whole world is the technological demonstration of what was believed to be inferior to Western technology, the Chinese technology, has proven to be something. Now, that would mean that, both sides will be sort of, given that it's an era of great power competition, so it'll be a shock effect that both sides will be trying to figure each other out. So next time, we'll have greater ability to do so. Unless and until a modus vivendi is created, we will probably be in for a different one, different kind of a warfare. So that's the objective problem is that they did not achieve. One final word I would say that if India believes that it has struck a terror infrastructure and has probably destroyed it or brought justice to it, actually it has only done the opposite. It has just created, waken up something that was dormant for a very long time. Nothing happened between 2019 and now. So there's an explanation why it didn't happen and why did it suddenly happen, So we're not going to get, because so far we don't have a smoking gun. So this targeting places is the one that India has been accusing for maybe many decades now. Many decades India has been accusing, and they've done it this time now. So the question is that, whether these organizations whom India accuses will now be in control of Pakistan or not, because even if they want to control it, will not be able to control it now because they're angry people now. People have died on both sides. So I am foreseeing that, this could cause more instability unless and until, a process can start and do so. At the moment, the emotions are so high at the moment of this interview that one cannot really make any sensible sort of advice or see a prognosis of a positive nature until things calm down. And it'll take a lot of weeks and months to settle down.
Taking from your response on emerging technology, I agree that this crisis also a digital edge and a few buzzwords like electronic warfare, multi-domain operations, and network-centric warfare. How are India and Pakistan adapting to the concept of multi-domain operations, integrating air, land, sea, cyber, and space capabilities into their military doctrines? And more importantly, what could be the implications of such integration for deterrent stability and crisis escalation in South Asia?
Well, almost certainly the deterrent stability has been challenged. We have seen that happen. There's no two words about it. As far as the multi-domain is concerned, we did not see much in the naval domain side, on the seaward side, which we all fear, but we clearly saw land, air, and space and electronic warfare combination, including drones that we've been talking about. And this was a demonstration of accurate missiles and drone warfare on both sides. We don't know the claims and counterclaims at the moment because it is still, it's fog of war. That how much anti-drone technology actually functioned, how much drones were actually pulled down, and what were the sources used. Because traditionally, when drone warfare, that became very dangerous. The escalation actually happened both because of the missiles landing on bases and the level of drone that we saw on the Pakistani soil. Obviously, India says that it was also there, but India claims that they were effectively destroyed. They probably Indian narrative was resembling what Iran and Israeli narrative was, that when Iranian drones went, Israeli effectively defended. It doesn't seem to be the case, but we don't know as yet at the moment, the other side of the story. But certainly there have been significant damages that both sides have actually done to each other, which, as you point out, what does this augur for future, for deterrent stability? This is a problem that we are in for crisis instability for a long time because both sides now have demonstrated that they have capabilities on the other side. I'm not saying one or the victory or the other. The other part of the problem is both sides are celebrating victory. So from that standpoint, probably the world is saying, okay, both are saying, okay, both have won. So that's stable eventually. All right, both can go back and give a narrative to the people and say, thank you very much. We won. So that's okay for the stability in the future. But both sides are also taking wrong lessons of each other because both sides think that they have been able to sort of establish their objectives. For example, India would think that they effectively targeted and created the new normal, and they're going to do it again next time, regardless of the civilian casualties that happen. India got this lesson because they can get away with. Where did they get this lesson? In my opinion, they got this lesson because the world doesn't care after what has happened in Middle East and elsewhere. I think that's where they took the initiative to be that bold. From Pakistan establishment, as I'm hearing all the time, they say, we re-established deterrence. This is the Pakistani narrative. So both have taken different lessons from here. I'm talking about a future crisis because every time if you take different lessons and there is no common understanding of the lessons of each other, then you're in for a different kind of a crisis because you're not learning to change your objective. You're learning to try to find new ways to reach the same objectives again and again. And you're going to do a mistake in it. So that's the problem with the deterrence construct in South Asia, what we can derive from this crisis at the moment. But one thing is for sure, for the sake, because as a smaller and a weaker country in all elements of national power vis-a-vis India, the response that Pakistan has given has clearly shocked India and the rest of the world. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think this is a place to celebrate, in my view, because I'm really disappointed with the celebration because they're human beings, innocent people have died, and there's nothing to celebrate about. So I'm sorry, I may not agree with that part in either Mumbai or anywhere in Pakistan. This is not to celebrate something. This is to reflect soberly
Yeah.
what has happened. Yeah.
You already mentioned use of Chinese technology, and I guess as far as this crisis is concerned, this is one of the most significant and interesting aspect as well. So reports surfaced that a Rafale fighter jet may have been downed, allegedly with support of advanced Chinese technology. Some are calling it a wake-up call for the West, suggesting that China may have developed fourth or fifth generation capabilities that caught traditional powers off guard. Do you think this signals a new phase of China's military tech assertiveness in the region and how the West is reading it?
Well, the West is a bit surprised. I can say that they're a bit surprised because this was not even fifth or sixth generation, which Chinese have actually demonstrated. This is not quite there. It's still like 4.5, but it beat up something which was believed to be a step up or half a step up in Western technology. So that is big surprise to the West. But whatever information we have so this is what has happened is that with the combination of Beidou satellites, with having a very long-range radar system, Pakistani, passive air defense system is watching quietly, and the PL-15s could penetrate. The manner in which the early warning system, satellite, sensors, combined effect they created an effect where the PL-15 missile, they actually went and hit Rafale as if it's a ghost hitting them. They didn't even know what hit them. So this was something that has shocked them because initially there was a disbelief that this could actually happen, and there's in a state of denial at the moment that what has actually happened. But gradually things are coming to light. People are realizing what is going on. The question from a larger perspective, not just India, Pakistan, is that this is not the complete demonstration of Chinese technology. What about other generations and other aircrafts and other things that the Chinese have not yet demonstrated? So this is worrying now. And this is going to really become into a high-tech arms race globally and possibly regionally as well going forward. This is the implication of what has been demonstrated so far. Yeah, so as a matter of fact, it is surprised at the moment.
So this crisis raises another tougher concerns for Islamabad, deterring future aggression effectively without overstepping into escalation. So with India drawn to initiate conflict in a nuclear-armed region, do you think Pakistan is doing enough to deter India from a future attack? Or if I rephrase it, or if I want to add that, what can Pakistan do to prevent India from carrying out such an attack again?
That's a very, very difficult question. If India believes what Pakistan is doing, there is no way, in my opinion, that Pakistan can satisfy India. Because India does not, what can Pakistan do? They did, in my opinion, they did their best. They had a window for 6 years to decide how to, finish this terror problem one way or the other. But there is no guarantee that another incident of this sort will not happen again, because there are hundreds of groups over 40 years, the whole ecosystem is upside down. Something will happen somewhere. It is India's choice. They choose one to retaliate in this manner. The only way that India may be able to calculate that it is not as an easy walkover over Pakistan as India thought. There is no victory on the cheap. There's going to be damage instantly. So my sense is that India is now going to double down on certain iron domes or like ballistic missile defenses and increase their air defenses because these bases are within range. And what Pakistan is going to do is going to really make it more and more accurate, to make it more penetrable system, which means that this is going to, like I again repeat, this is going to be a high-tech sort of a thing, And all this is going to happen with nuclear deterrence in the backdrop, in the backdrop. So, I mean, we do not know if the crisis had not stopped where it did stop. Within the next 24 hours, in my assessment, it could have gone into uncontrollable escalation, including deployment of nuclear weapons or some sort of thing would have happened within 24 hours. You see. But I think for the more worrisome for Pakistan thing is, which I don't hear on the media, and perhaps I'm not watching all that, is that India could penetrate and strike as deep as Saklala. So all other bases along Shore Court and other bases close by are within those ranges. But if India could penetrate and hit Nur Khan base, now this is hitting the heart of the capital of Pakistan. So that is something that, Pakistan has to take note of. And I'm sure they are taking note of it. And obviously, this is going to be a problem. So next time what's going to happen is that Pakistan is going to have capability to go deeper into India. So this is going to happen, and this capability will be there. I mean, unless better sense prevails between the two countries and this civilization, we are risking a civilization in a way. I don't say things lightly. These things I really don't say in a loose way. You heard me many times before. But the manner in which the crisis has escalated and both sides have demonstrated their capabilities is raising a lot of concern amongst all South Asian experts and all over the world. They are really mulling over. And once again, I may be saying prematurely because information is still foggy at the moment as we talk. So yeah, we are changing the deterrence. You're trying to puncture each other's deterrence.
Yeah. So is it safe to say that that nuclear element triggered a global response? Because we saw a fast-track diplomatic push, especially from Washington. And
yes.
So in your assessment, what was the exact factor or factors to push Americans to get involved in this crisis? Because we heard them publicly saying that they don't want to get involved in the crisis anymore.
Yes, exactly. So one thing is that the crisis remained contained and did not escalate because both sides, were it not for nuclear power weapons, this could have been a different war in the first 24, 48 hours. The very reason it was pausing and the very reason it did not escalate was. So nuclear deterrence did work in certain way. I mean, we should not undercut that. And were it not for nuclear weapons and the possibility that this could go uncontrollable into nuclear exchange, Washington was very lackluster, I mean, the vice president was saying this is none of our business to the extent, or they can figure it out themselves, So I think Washington was, until the wake-up call came, that they suddenly realized that you just cannot be as dismissive about this region, And I'm still not sure, because the kind of commentary that are coming from, especially the intellectual powerhouse that supports the current Trump administration in the US, they're kind of goading them that this is none of your business to intervene to solve conflict between India and Pakistan. You should only be involved in fire extinguishing between the two countries because as they put it in their word, the problem between India and Pakistan is unfixable. So don't try to fix the unfixable. This is the position of the world. But the problem is that they're two nuclear armed countries. Were it not for that, nobody would have bothered you. Just like Ukraine, it's like Middle East, like keep on fighting is none of our business. But this was the factor that actually had. I think I'll refer you to Dr. Maria Nozi's article in The Dawn, The Nuclear Factor. I mean, she is referring to exactly the kind of thing that I'm alluding to. So this is exactly one of the things. I think the problem is of a different kind where the West and other countries are looking, because I'm seeing from a different vantage point. They are looking more about what would this mean, because this technological demonstration, will this encourage China more? Or, if this encourages China more, is China going to do more? Is China going to really, that's the kind of problem that China's policy towards South Asia may significantly change. Or what? Because China was conspicuously absent in its public positioning. so far. I mean, they were saying the same thing. Russia, China, the whole country was saying, "Stop it! Don't escalate," and all that. But in the heart of heart, those who are China watchers and given the great power competition, they are sort of fearing some different kind of consequences here. Mm-hmm. And very clearly, I mean, the Indians would be talking very soon to the Western allies that, look, where did they fail or where were they? They're not going to acknowledge publicly that they failed. We know that. They're going to find different excuses. They've not even acknowledged so far that Rafale has been shot down. So they will be going together and going back to say how to do that. Now, remember that theoretically, we've been talking about LEMOA, basics, and all kind of agreements that was done with where did that come into play today? So now, I mean, what I'm anticipating, India will go back and say, what was this all about? You were not helping me. India is going to blame that, when the put came, you didn't do anything. So their narrative is that, this was China's demonstration as a test bed, and Chinese succeeded in that. So they're not talking deterrence, stability, and crisis. This is the language you and I are talking. They are looking differently. So unfortunately, and by the way, it was not just a U.S. diplomacy. It was interesting to see that it was regional power like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE, and other countries got involved. And I don't know how much influence they had on India, but clearly the only country that had influence on India was the United States, no other country. But certainly all these countries that were influential in Pakistan. So there is stake in South Asia of other countries who have invested. China's invested, Saudi is investing, Even Iran tried to play some diplomacy in the process. So we can see that there are more actors who have stakes in the South Asian stability. So that may not be a bad thing, but going forward. But in the end of the day, nobody is ready to catalyze the negotiation between India and Pakistan except keep on encouraging the two. That's what the word coming from Washington.
Yeah. So,
and the other issue, before you ask the question, the other issue is that, President Trump had probably said that, well, he's ready to mediate between India and Pakistan on conflict resolution. There is a pushback on that. Hey, India doesn't like third-party intervention, so why are you interfering? Let them decide bilaterally. And so we know that bilaterally nothing will be resolved.
My question was exactly about the Trump's recent remarks on wanting to trade with India and Pakistan. So if we are talking about geopolitics, so we can't forget Kashmir right now. So we have seen Washington, D.C. dehyphenate India and Pakistan by approaching its foreign policy on subcontinent. And India's foreign minister, Jaishankar, has repeated the same mantra over the years, for quite many years. So with this conflict bringing Kashmir smack in the center of India-Pakistan crisis management and future dialogue, do you think the idea of dehyphenating India and Pakistan is over now?
Not quite. The way I'm talking about Washington's position. Washington dehyphenated because it deferred to India's position that why it is not Washington's position, this was India's position. And Washington agreed with India. In reality, it's just demonstrated that no matter how much you can wish away the dehyphenation, a dehyphenation doesn't happen. But this was Washington's desire. Similarly, if you go back to the US-India nuclear deal, India said, oh, you give me the deal, then I can have relation with you. And the US succumbed to that, to India's demand. So United States policy over the last 20, 25 years is consistent to appease India no matter what India does. But India does not commit to the US, you know that. So it is like maximizing its appeasement from Washington, at the same time. So it is more about that, which is the reason why this Kashmir issue is being talked about. It is more rhetoric. They're not going to get involved into the process. Now, as far as, foreign minister, India's position, Indian leaders are talking about, the only problem about Kashmir is POK, as they call it, referring to Azad Kashmir. The manner in which the military's demonstration has happened today, do you really think that India will be able to make any changes to do that? President Trump is a trading person. You can look at his Saudi Arabia, everywhere he's trading, His whole policy from the very beginning is that, he will put tariffs, and they say, I put tariff to sort of a shock and awe effect and then start negotiating, you know. So he is the person who believes not in wars. He believes that the world, it's all about trading, it's all about business. So he's dealing with that in a business way. Now, the desire would be that, you know, that there should be such a trading regime created in South Asia that this conflict resolution goes into a back burner, and then, you know, they could maximize trade from both countries, you know. But, you know, given the temperature that has risen in South Asia at the moment, there's highly unlikelihood that India-Pakistan will have any, you know, classic CBMs or any such confidence building for many, many time to come. Particularly as long as the kind of regime that is in India, Modi regime in India, as long as this there. I think the countries are drifting apart so much, you know. You have reviewed Subcontinent Drift. This is exactly what was predicted in that book. You know that. So, you know, it was good, bad, and the ugly. This is a bad demonstration. It could have gone ugly. It really came close to the ugly. To get back from, you know, from between bad and ugly, that matrix, to go back to good and bad will take a lot of time now.
Yeah. With that, Feroz, I would thank you for your time and such enriching discussion. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Bye.
So that's a wrap on today's discussion on post-Pahalgam crisis landscape. As South Asia stands at the crossroads of deterrence and danger, it is clear that military strategy is no longer confined to the borders, not even the battlefields. Thank you to our expert guest for helping us understand the layers of this crisis with clarity and honesty. If you found this episode insightful, please do like and share. Until next time, stay informed.